A Will County judge will hear Drew Peterson's motion for a new trial on February 19th. The next day, a sentencing is scheduled to begin, at which prosecutors will put on evidence that Peterson also murdered his fourth wife. WGN's Marcella Raymond is at the Joliet Courthouse, where the timeline has been set. Marcella.
Hi, Mark. The circus atmosphere that we saw for 6 weeks over the summer was toned down a bit today, but the attorneys still, family, even Drew Peterson himself still had something to say. Drew Peterson is fully gray, his hair buzzed short, his hands and legs shackled, and he looks heavier and older than when he was convicted in early September of murdering his third wife, Kathleen Savio. Peterson turned 59 5 days ago.
I like coming to see Drew and the effects that the jail does to him. Like today, he's very old looking, and to see him shackled up makes me feel good not being in control.
Cassandra Kales is positive Drew will also be convicted of killing her sister Stacy, his fourth wife. She's been missing since October of 2007. But today, Peterson's attorneys, minus Joel Brodsky, were in court trying to get a new trial for their client.
If the judge can find an avalanche of errors, he may grant a motion for a new trial, but it has to be something substantial.
Joe Lopez, Steve Greenberg, and new attorney Dave Pilot filed a motion saying Brodsky was ineffective as counsel, especially when he called Kathleen Savio's divorce attorney, Harry Smith, to the stand. It's a move they publicly agreed on at the time, but behind the scenes, there was major disagreement.
They came out and did a press conference with you where they all said, we all agreed to do this. This was the right thing to do, and here was our strategy.
The juror said Smith's testimony was key to convicting Peterson. So now, on February 19th, Judge Edward Burmilla will hear testimony and decide if Peterson will get a new trial. In an ironic twist, Brodsky, Lopez, and Greenberg could all be called to testify that Peterson's defense team was incompetent.
Because you all saw them in court working together on everything. And so it's not like anything was hidden from any of the 6 lawyers.
Now, we reached out to Joel Brodsky for comment, and he referred us to the motion that he filed when he withdrew from the case. It's 30 pages long, and it mainly just blames co-counsel Steve Greenberg for all the problems that happened during the trial. He even used words like pathological liar and narcissist to describe Greenberg, who is still counsel in this case. So that's interesting. There's still a feud going on there as well. But right now we've got the 3 attorneys, Lopez, Greenberg, and the new one, Dave Pilot. Mark?
Marcella, do I understand there was a bit of, odd camaraderie? Not that this is a laughing matter, but kind of a reunion type setting with the judge even making a comment about the attorneys, the reporters all gathering together once again?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time together. I mean, we're talking 12 to 14-hour days for 6 weeks straight. So, you do get to know people. You're trying to get the story. You're talking to people, trying to get their side, this side. So when Judge Burmilla came in, he had made some comments during the trial as well. He said, what was his quote exactly? He said, this is like old times when he got to his bench today, because all the reporters were sitting there, Drew Peterson was there, the attorneys, all the state's attorneys, Jim Glasgow was there. So that was interesting. And then prior to him coming up, you were all kind of sitting around, and I was sitting very close to Drew Peterson, and they were talking, someone was talking about Valentine's Day, and he said, Valentine's Day is a bad thing in jail. And someone else said, yeah, it's a lot cheaper, though, when you're in jail. And then someone else said something else about, they're trying to figure out the sentencing date, and he said, well, let me check my calendar, and I'll clear it for you. So it is a surreal experience to be there, because here you are sitting next to someone who murdered his third wife, possibly his fourth wife, and you're listening to this joking around and all this kind of stuff, and it's very hard to sort of place yourself in that kind of an atmosphere, but we all do, and it was interesting nonetheless. But you're right, we don't want to make light of it, but yet there is a lot of light to be made of it when you're in that situation.
Marcella Raymond and Joliet, thanks a lot. Mike.